Please bring your dough over 1 year to the holding pin. Dough over 1 year to the holding pin.
Got a good class here to kick off our goat show with these younger does here. And again, I think after your class winner, it gets awfully hard to figure out how to put this class together. But this one kind of commands the class pretty quickly. Again, our outline's good. Width, chest, and forearm are awesome in that one. Still handles with some width when you get right over the top of them. And then as we prance these and get them going, that one takes to the lead probably as comfortable and correct as any of the rest of them out here. So made a really, really confident place to grab onto to start. And then the trouble happened after that, because you just kind of got to balance a lot of things and really do some searching here. But this one here we're going to have here in second, to me, her combination of shape, she's got a little more to her than the one sitting here in third. I still like her agility and the way she gets and goes. She wants to run downhill ever so slightly when she's on the move. I correct her there at the point of her shoulder. But again, I think one that's density is good, her structure is good, still a pretty solid animal to land there in second. Probably as neat a one on the move as any of them is the little one in here. And she gives up quite a bit in terms of size, but she makes up for it in quality. That one still has some chest width. I love the look of her. Just want to open her up from behind. She handles really, really good over her back, but got to open her up from behind and make her a little stouter there. This became the plainer one probably of the lineup in terms of look. Now, if you want to say there's just a little more to her in volume and power and run her up a spot or two, I wouldn't blame you there. She's a little short hip for me, a little plain chest. She just doesn't have that same kind of look and presence we find in those ones really on either side of her. Heavy bone one here that's got a really, really expressive tone to her muscle. She wants to break behind her shoulder. She's a little rounder shoulder. She keeps her put together pretty good, but you get them on the move, she maybe falls apart just a touch. Probably the toughest one for me is this paint one that we end up closing our class with, because just practicality, she's very, very right. She's high volume in terms of her body. She's still level, just not the same kind of shape and bone and just expression of muscle we find in those goats ahead of them. But that's a really good class of those.
Does under 1 year, first place went to Aspen Hughes, Country Clovers. Second place, Aiden Cox, Brush Poppers. Third place, Creed Hughes, Country Clovers. Fourth place, Clancy Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth place, Kaylee Shockey, Cottonwood 4-H. And sixth place, Dakota Goldston, Cottonwood 4-H. Please bring all your Division I Class 1 meat goats to the holding pen. Division I Class 1 meat goats to the holding pen.
Got a nice single entry here. Again, very, very stout featured. Love her extension. Still one that's got some stoutness in terms of her skull and head. Big hip in this one. Lots of shape and expression, particularly when she's on the move. Being nitpicky of that one at all. Just right there behind her shoulder, I'd open her up and just give her a little more density and stoutness right there behind her shoulder. But I love this one's smoothness, its bone and structure. Another nice doe here in our doe show.
Doe over 1 year, first place, Bailey Trujillo from Cottonwood 4-H.
Got a nice set of does to compare and sort through here. Again, that lighter, younger class there, again, that was a really good class from start to finish. Just a lot of quality and usefulness in there, and still a standout that won that class. And our single entry, I still think brings some quality here to the lineup. Her length is good, her stoutness is good. She's pretty rugged in terms of just her feature. I like her shape that she has, particularly out of her lower leg and hip as you study her as well, and starting to put together the right kind of look here. So really nice set of them. I like this one out of the class 1 to be our champion. Here she's a pretty nice doe. We're going to use that single entry out of class 2 to be reserved.
Your champion breeding goat went to Aspen Hughes, and your reserve went to Bailey Trujillo. Congratulations. Please bring all your Class 2 Division 1 meat goats to the holding pen. Class 2 Division 1 meat goats to the holding pen.
Got a really nice class of lightweights here. Again, several of them we like it here pretty well. But just too much good in this doe that leads off for me to put her anywhere but first. Again, heaviness of structure like I like them to be, and she's opened up and square built, but yet things fit together on her in terms of her structure and her skeleton. She's one of the best in terms of strength right behind her shoulder, and her progression of width is very, very good. You can lengthen her hip just ever so slightly, but boy, that's a heavy bone, big-footed, nice design one that's got balance and still got plenty enough volume to her. Black-headed one run here next in second. Again, I think this one, as we continue to feed him on, we're going to like him even better. I love his front 1/3. He handles and touches as square and good over his spine is what you like him to. And he's got a nice smoothness to him. When he finally relaxes and cooperates on the lead, that guy gets and gives you a good look. For me, when I get right in behind him, really compared to goats on either side of him, I still open him up just a touch more for me, just give him just a touch more flair and power all the way through. But he's expressive, he's neat to look at. I like the future in that one quite a bit. Heavy bone, big-footed one here that comes next. It's got plenty of chest width to him there as well. Want to make his hip longer, want to open him up in his hip and his pins just to match everything he's got up front. So wide up front, but he really doesn't match that width as you progress on back to his rear skeleton. But that's still a quality goat. Initially gives you really good presence. Same thing with this one here next in fourth. Kind of grabs you as soon as he walks in. He's up-headed, he's stout-skulled, he's big-footed, he's big-featured, he's big-hip. Just got to make him better in his rack and full rib. He gets a little flatter there and weaker right in there behind his shoulder, but still a very, very quality goat here within this class. Little guy that comes here next, I think, again, he's green, he's immature, he's small, and finally just not enough of him for me personally, and that's why he stands fifth. But when you touch that goat, he handles very, very good in terms of expression. There's still some chest width and body dimension to him. Just want to see if he can bulk up and get a little stouter and bolder as time goes on, but still a nice kind of a goat. Red-shouldered one that comes next, I love her from the side, so smooth and so up-fronted. Just one that wants to play out in terms of her lower leg and hip. Want to open her up there as well. Another nice design one that comes there next. It just doesn't read and grab quite as big and square over her top as what maybe some of these other ones do. Got another wether here whose chest width and forearm are very, very good. Just gets a little plainer in his look maybe not quite as descriptive in terms of his muscle. Then a pair of doe kids here that we end up closing with just get overpowered in this class. I think, again, body shape, they're going to be okay as we continue to feed them. Just maybe don't have the same kind of expression of muscle and bone and feature we find in those goats ahead of them. That really good class of goats. Nice trio there up top.
Class 1, Division 1 meat goat. First place went to Stella Rand from Cottonwood 4-H. Second place, Creed Hughes, Country Clovers. Third place, Clancy Conklin from Cottonwood 4-H. Fourth place, Ty Crook, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth place, Aspen Hughes, Country Clovers. Sixth place, Peyton Norman, Loving 4-H. Seventh place, JC Smith, Country Clovers. Eighth place, Olivia Jefferson, Blue Jeans and Boots. Ninth place, Jeremiah West, Loving 4-H. 10th place, Olivia Jefferson, Blue Jeans and Boots. Please bring all your Class 3 Division 1 meat goats to the holding pen Class 3 Division 1 meat goats to the holding pen.
Another really nice class of goats here as you get to studying these. And this weather that leads off again, as soon as he came in, you just love his body length, but yet he's heavy structured, he's big forearm, he's big featured, he's got a lot of expression of muscle to him. And you study him down his back, he opens up good in terms of rack shape, he's good and square over his loin, and then when she gets him propped up there, to me that one takes it in terms of just his look and his elevation, the way he puts things together there. You know, he's still green, he's still skinny, he's still just a touch raw, but boy, I love the quality of that goat and just what he puts together. This red-shouldered one here, boy, she comes together quite well. Handle's incredible over her spine. I love just the smoothness and the way she puts things together. It's just from her hooks back is where I want to change her. Little short hip. She also wants to play out in terms of muscle ever so slightly when you get right in behind her. But from there forward, that's a good-bodied, good-looking, square-chested one that still gets out and goes very, very well. Just want to make her longer, more correct there out for a rear skeleton. This one here in third, I just love the basics of. That's a square-built one. That's a stout forearm one. That's one that's got a lot of shape and expression. A little raw in terms of the way he handles, probably still yet. Probably compared to those top two, just a little shorter, more compact. We can stretch him out just a shade and pick him up off the ground in terms of just his framework. But boy, I love the balance, the symmetry, and just how correct made he is. Another nice weather. To me, there you can go back and forth in these next two, and I chose to just keep power in mind and keep muscle in mind, and that's why the weather ends up here next in fourth. He is opened up, he is shapely, he's just a little short and a little short hip, a little jammed up all the way through, but still a good kind of weather. We give this doe here a little more muscle, and she makes this class more interesting because I love her look from the side. She's got a lot of presence to her, and I still think structurally she's okay. Just could benefit from being quite a bit stouter when you get right in behind her. She too, I like the lengthen out of her hip. Got another goat here that comes next that's got plenty of muscle and plenty of volume. Just doesn't all fit together as correctly in terms of balance. He's a little more pronounced in his shoulder, a little coarser, a little rounder off either end. A nice profiling doe kid we have next. Just needs a little more to her. Another red-shouldered one here whose body shape seems to be right, and she still has some chest width for her size. Just gets overpowered when you get right in behind her and study her. Really, these next four that come, it was just an issue of muscle and width. I think they're sound enough kind of goats. They've got some length to them. Just want to give them just quite a bit more shape and expression and tone of muscle to move them up higher in this class. But let's give these kids a hands. Another nice class of goats.
Class 2 meat goats. First place went to Madison Mancha from Artesia FFA. Second place, Creed Hughes, Country Clovers. Third place, McKenna Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Fourth place, Kaylee Shockey, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth place, Aspen Hughes, Country Clovers. Sixth place, Emma Thorpe, Carlsbad FFA. Seventh place, Abigail Nieto, Loving 4-H. Eighth place, Marilyn Herrera, Loving 4-H. Ninth place, Ryan Wood, Carlsbad FFA. 10th place, Jack Jerva, Country Clovers. 11th place, Alexander West, Loving 4-H. And 12th place, Alexander West, Loving 4-H. Please bring all your first and second place Division I meat goats to the holding pen. First and second place Division I meat goats to the holding pen.
another really fun class to sort and get to go through. And again, these 2, 3, I thought kind of separated pretty quick. And then these 2, as you really get to studying them and breaking them down, both of them don't have a problem with muscle. Both of them are good there. I think both of them are big featured and heavy enough bone. Of course, the one we're leading off with probably has got the little advantage there. Probably where I like him the most. You watch these 2 leave you and go away. He's much more true and square and correct at his hock. He doesn't bring his hock in or out. It stays within the line of his body. I love the way this guy handles there over his rack and his body shape and the way it fits on him. He's youthful, but yet he's still got enough to him to kind of do things and do it right. Stout skulled, good looking, and absolutely love him when he's prancing around there on the move there. You know, you could lengthen his hip just a shade, probably in an ideal world, but that's a good goat that wins this class. I absolutely love this one from the side. His length is in how parallel he is, how balanced he is. He's big forearm, he's monster chested, and she does a great job putting him together for the most part, for sure. I like the way he handles there as well. Just when I get behind him and study him, he's just awkward on his hock. You want to square him up and make him more correct as he goes. Probably relative to those 2, he doesn't hit you right as square, as smooth, right over his loin is what that class winner does. But that's still an awfully good goat we're being picky on. It's got a lot of quality and a lot of presence to him, and still one, I think, skeletally, in terms of athleticism, he's still fine. Just want to correct him right there as he goes away. I love just how opened up and robust this 1 3rd is. He's awesome in his rib cage. No surprise, he's monster backed and he's got a ton of muscle to him. He's a little soft pastured and a little frail bone, a little off in his hip, more than I'd like him to be. Again, lengthen his hip, make him a little stronger there in terms of his rear pasture and the way it goes. I think it'll change the way he moves. He also, of those 3, probably starts to put a little more chest floor out there when he's on the go. Not quite as pretty to look at from that regard, but his basics, his fundamental, that's a really good market goat there as we continue to feed him on. I like the way this doe touches here. They have next and fourth. She's 2 is one that's square enough up front. She's got some stoutness to her there as well. Probably relative to the weather right behind her. She's much better and fresher right there over her rack and her loin. Still one when you get in behind him. She's got enough shape probably, but that's still where I change her. Just when you get behind that one, open that one up just a touch more and give her more base with. But boy, a nice smooth looking one that's got some freshness. This weather's interesting. I think when all the pieces assemble and all of it gets together, he'll be quite nice. Again, his chest is good, his look is good. He's got a good posture about him. I like his structure. Today he's awfully green in his heart and his forerib, a little greener about his loin there. Just don't fit it all together. Hits you a little green and piecey relative to those ones ahead of him, but he's still got some quality. I think one to be interesting as we feed him on down the road. A lot of good shape in this doe that comes next. Just want to change off of a rear skeleton. Wants to hock in, maybe get a little frailer. Love the silhouette of this wether the young guy has. Beautiful from the side, whether we're walking him or whether he's got him parked. He's got the right kind of look to him. Just gets overpowered in this class. Love the shape and the product we have in this wether next. Just wish it came in a little different balance package. Little coarser shoulder, little shorter hip. He's a little frailer there as well. Same thing can be said about the dark-headed one. I think touches well in terms of expression. Just wants to play out when you get right in behind there, like to open her up, give her more base with. The white one here that comes, love the smoothness of this one. I think that one transitions into its pieces very, very well. Just find her side, she's a little softer when I like her to be. I want to see her just a little more aggressive in terms of the turn and shape of her muscle. I love the back shape of this red hip goat that comes next. Pretty big and flat loin. Just gets a little flatter bodied though. A little narrow when we get it from behind. Another one here, the freshness is good, smoothness is good. Just not enough dough there. Then the 2 we end up closing with probably is extended and long-sided. I think goats that still have the right kind of structural flexibility just need more muscle, more width to run up a little higher in this class. But outstanding class, interesting trio there up top.
Class 3, first place went to Madison Muncha from Artesia FFA. Second place went to Bailey Trujillo, Cottonwood 4-H. Third place, McKenna Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Fourth place, Gracie Rand, Artesia FFA. Fifth place, Aspen Hughes, Country Clovers. Sixth place, Taylor Salter, Artesia FFA. Seventh place, Ty Crook, Cottonwood 4-H. Eighth place, Lillian Nikes, Cottonwood 4-H. Ninth place, Jonathan Lopez, Country Clovers. 10th place, Jersey Smith, Country Clovers. 11th place, Clay Kincaid, Artesia FFA. 12th place, Joey Lopez III, Country Clovers. 13th place, Abigail Nieto, Loving 4-H. The Eddy County Fair presents the comedy, magic, and juggling of the Farmer Phil Show. The show takes place right now in the food court and again at 7:30. Don't miss the magic of Farmer Phil. It's all part of your experience at the 2022 Eddy County Fair. Don't miss it. Please bring your Division II Class 4 meat goats to the holding pen. Division II Class 4 meat goats to the holding pen.
Really outstanding set in this first division of goats, market goats we have here. One that came out at first class, still probably as heavy structured for her size and as square built as any of them out here. I like the way this one gets and goes in terms of comfort. She's still big forearm and has some width to her. You know, you can nitpick on her now here amongst maybe a little more a competitive company here. She gets just a little weaker right there behind her shoulder and can run downhill ever so slightly. But boy, that one's looseness and flexibility and power and bone is something to admire. This one that came out of Class 2, again, I still like just the future of this one. This one's length, this one's look, this one's expression, does a lot of things very, very right. Still one that's heavy structured and big bone and big footed there as well. Maybe the rawest one of this group here on the front line in terms of maturity, but he probably should be at this weight. He's just going to continue to get better. Maybe you make him just a touch looser as you get and go compared to another one out here. But boy, that's still a nice goat that's got a lot of quality about him. Then the pair that came out of this last class, again, we can debate back and forth on that pair. There's a lot of good between both of them. I don't know how to really describe this one other than just everything fits. He's assembled correctly. His balance, his proportions are very, very ideal, and he'd be again an interesting one to feed on to see if he keeps that kind of bulk but yet still keeps that smoothness and balance as he continues on through life. So really nice set of them. I'm going to keep these two together out of this last class. They'll be grand reserve in this first division.
Your Division I champion meat goat went to Madison Muncha from Artesia FFA. And your reserve went to Bailey Trujillo. Clay Kincaid, if you could please make your way to the show ring. Clay Kincaid, please make your way to the show ring. Clay Kincaid, please make your way to the show ring. Clay Kincaid, please make your way to the show ring. Please bring all your Class 5 Division II meat goats to the holding pen. Class 5 Division II meat goats to the holding pen.
Another very good class of goats here, and again, I think one that's fun to look at and easy to like that leads off this class. Again, even past the awesome presentation, there's still just more goat there. That one, his look of quality, his presence out here is really kind of unmatched for sure. I like the shape and tone of his muscle. I like the way he handles over his loin. Big forearm, big chested, heavy bone goat. Probably anything for me if I'm going to change him, and I'm pretty picky on this. Just rib cage wide, right behind his shoulder. I like to open him up and just make him more dynamic there. He's so good in his loin and his hip. I want to see that same type of width right there behind his shoulder. But boy, that one's neat to look at. High quality, good kind of goat here to lead off this class. These next two I go back and forth on, and honestly, yes, this one in second's a little frail. He don't have all the leg hair on him, but well, when he gets put together, that one's smooth. That one's good in terms of his look. He handles with the right tone and freshness of his muscle. He still has some chest width. Yeah, I just wish you maybe stoutened him up and turned his bone. We watched these two travel, though. He's so much more correct and longer out of his hip, just a little more correct in the way he hinges and sets there as well. A powerful one here that comes in third. Big forearm, big chest, big blade. Really good in terms of just his back shape there as well, and lots of width from behind. Just gets a little jammed up for me. I want to make him longer hip. I want to set him in differently in his shoulder, and when he gets on the go, you can kind of see it. Just want to make him a little longer all the way through. But a solid individual here, staying third in class. Kind of the same conversation with this one we have here in fourth. I love his muscle shape. I like the way we fed this one. I love the boldness of his body. I just want to reassemble him and make him a little more balanced. She does an awesome job getting the most out of him, but boy, when you watch him go there, he wants to bury his old shoulder and get around her out of his hip. Just not as attractive to look at as what those ones were ahead of him. That's still a very, very nice market animal. Black-headed one here, long-sided and smooth and up-fronted. Probably has just a little more skeletal length and neatness in terms of his movement than what that one ahead of him does. Just ran out of power, little flatter body, little narrow chested relative to those ones at the head of this class, but still a worthy one here. They're going to stand in fifth. Again, another nicely presented one. I think one when he gets this one's propped up, gives you the right kind of look, and this one's heavy feature. Just want to open that one up quite a bit more, particularly over his rack and there in his forerib. Open him up in his chest floor and just give him more width all the way through. Doe that we have here next, she's monster in terms of her back. Boy, she's grooved up, got an awesome shape to her. Just wish she had that same kind of width as you get behind her. She wants to close up just a little bit. Maybe not the prettiest to look at times in terms of her head, neck, and shoulder, but still a nice one in terms of just her market fundamentals in a very tough class. The spot top one, probably as smooth made as any of them out here. I like the freshness of this one, the way he handles. Just not quite enough goat there. Red shoulder one here. Love that one's extension up front. Just need to have more power and stoutness when you get in behind him and open him up. Same thing can be said for those three that we end up closing that class with. Just want to make those goats more muscular. Want to give them just a touch more look and presence there, but a really good set of them that we have out here. Let's give these kids a nice round of applause. Good set of goats.
Class 4, first place went to Braden Fuentes, Artesia FFA. Second place, Swayze Fulmar, Cottonwood 4-H. Third place, Peyton Putman, Country Clovers. Fourth place, McKenna Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Fifth place, Jack Jerva, Country Clovers. Sixth place, Ty Crook, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh place, Michaela Jefferson, Blue Jeans and Boots. Eighth place, Armando Herrera, Loving 4-H. Ninth place, Jersey Smith, Country Clovers. 10th place, Jaylee Joy, Cottonwood 4-H. 11th place, Caden Bishop, Loving 4-H. 12th place, Abigail Nieto, Loving 4-H. Ladies and gentlemen, the Eddy County Fair presents the comedy, magic, and juggling of the Farmer Phil Show. The show takes place at the food court at 7:30. Don't forget. Don't miss the magic of Farmer Phil. It's all part of your experience at the 2022 Eddy County Fair. Please bring your Class 6 Division II meat goats to the holding pen. Class 6 Division II meat goats to the holding pen. Please bring your Class 6 Division II meat goats to the holding pen. Class 6 Division II meat goats to the holding pen.
Another really, really good class here. And again, get a pair of them here you like quite well, and you got to get nitpicky on that pair. And I think it's just a simple fact of balance and smoothness. In his forearm, but yet he progressively gets wider when you come back to his hip and base. And I know not only when he's engaged there, but when he's traveling, he has that same advantage. I like the way he grabs right there over his back. I like the smoothness there to his loin. Just a neat kind of goat that's got probably enough of everything. You know, if you're going to get critical of him at all, he's a little thicker headed and thicker neck maybe than some we've had out here, but to me his proportions still read right. He still has some balance to him. This one here, again, gets you pretty quick when he hits the gate. He's so big featured and so rugged and so stout. He's opened up in his chest, pretty big in his forearm. I love the body shape and the density of this goat. The longer I looked at him, the more I wanted to open up his pins just to match the width he's got up top. And then also I just want to stretch him out just a touch relative to his classmate that leads off ahead of you. That's pretty picky, though. That's two pretty good goats here lead off this class. Another very, very muscular individual that comes here in third, just isn't as assembled as correctly or as attractively. He's a little more twisted up front, a little shorter out of his hip, but boy, is he full of meat, is he full of muscle and width. He's got a lot of that. Just want to balance him up and give him more length. And really, if you could combine him with the goat we have here next and fourth, we like him that much better. This one's long-sided. This one runs uphill. This one's got the right kind of shape and tone and expression of muscle. He wants to get just a little higher in his flank and maybe not as opened up in his lower body. Wants to come in at his hocks just a little bit and leave you just a little base and area. But still one I think is athletic enough and it's got a good shape to him. This black spotted one here, again, I love just the shape in terms of width. Really, really good in terms of his top. He's got some leg in him. Just thought of this initial crew. It just fell out of, maybe not quite as good in terms of quality and look and presence as what those are, but that's still a neat kind of individual. When it comes next, he's got pieces. I love his hip. I love his length. She does a good job getting him propped up and getting the most out of him. Again, he's just a little flatter, harder bodied, just not quite as good. Boy, a neat goat in terms of just his look and balance is concerned. Another really nice one to look at that comes next. I love this one on the move. Travels so good and loose, but with that, that's probably one of the narrow ones in here. I like to open him up and give him quite a bit more muscle. Speckled goat here, again, smooth made. Still one I think has some volume of muscle. Starting to put on just a little more condition in a way that maybe isn't as advantageous. Not quite as expressive in terms of her muscle shape, but still just like her kind, like her quality there. Another one here, weathered, that's got some hip and some turn to his leg from the side. Just needs more width. And then a pair of those here, we like to just power up quite a bit more. Again, I like how they're growing in terms of frame and weight. Just want to see more width and substance in them relative to their classmates. But a good set of goats.
Class 5, first place went to Braden Fuentes, Artesia FFA. Second place, Bailey Trujillo, Cottonwood 4-H. Third place, Jay Starnes, Artesia FFA. Fourth place, Gracie Rand, Artesia FFA. Fifth place, Marilyn Herrera, Loving 4-H. Sixth place, Madeline Clark, Carlsbad FFA. Seventh place, Stella Rand, Cottonwood 4-H. Eighth place, Jaylee Joy, Cottonwood 4-H. Ninth place, Jaylee Joy, Cottonwood 4-H. 10th place, Lillian Nikes, Cottonwood 4-H. 11th place, Colton Nikes, Cottonwood 4-H. Please bring all your Division II first and second places to the holding pin. Division II first and second place to the holding pin.
Very good class once again, and again, got a lot of quality amongst this group. This one that leads off, though, I think does just a lot of things right. That one's look of quality is good. That one's smoothness and the way he puts things together is very, very good. Whether he's standing there or whether he's traveling, I like his athleticism. I like his squareness and the way he's designed there. His freshness and the way he touches is very, very good. Again, there's no perfect one. If you want to change him, I set his tail a little higher on the end of his body to make his hip look a little longer at times, but boy, I love just the freshness, the look, the presence he handles with. Good goat here leads off this class. What we run here in second, again, he maybe has the disadvantage in terms of just sure foot and bone, but you follow him from there up and really study that goat. You love the way he's built. His smoothness, his length. He is probably a little more appropriate out through his hip and his tail set than what even your class winner is. I love the freshness he touches with. I like the look that he has. Just a little frailer for me there. Maybe don't hold himself together quite as rock star good as what the class winner does, but still a nice goat. This one here in third, when he first came in, I thought, man, that's an interesting combination of power, but yet some balance and yet some athletic ability, and he's still that way. I just finally decided, I don't know any way to describe it, he's short. You know, you just wish he was bigger, longer, more extended. I've been short my entire life, so I can feel for him, what he's going through there. But just one, again, love his muscle, love his shape, just got to be bigger in his kind. One we have here next in fourth, I wish we could lend his length to this one in third or give the third's rib cage to this one in fourth. Big bone, great to look at, whether they're walking or whether they're stopped. You really are drawn to this goat. Get right on top of him or either end of him. Just got to be more of him off either end and give him more shape there as well. Dark-headed one here. Love the way he touches over his loin. He's got a big hip in him. Just some good fundamental pieces for making a meat goat. I want to see him stronger behind his shoulder. I want to see him just a little neater to look at all the way through relative to those classmates ahead of him. Still a very strong individual out here. One that comes out here next does a good job of getting a lot out of this goat, because when he first comes in, I probably don't like him as well in terms of his balance and his look. We stick him and get him stuck there. Boy, he does a good job of pulling him together. He handles very good over his loin. He needs to be better right there behind his shoulder over his rack. Main thing, just make him more eye-appealing, give him more stoutness and ruggedness as he goes as well. Long-sided one here that's got some smoothness to him, just needs to be a little more defined in his muscle. Want to see him go away from me a little wider. Same thing for this red and white one here. Do a nice job showing that one. I love the freshness he touches with. Just not quite enough goat there to run up a little higher there for me. These next three, as we get and discuss them, again, I think goats that when they first come in, they've got enough look, they've got enough soundness, they've got enough correctness. They just get overpowered in terms of just sheer muscle shape, maybe not quite the bone and stoutness and ruggedness of those ones on the top end of the class there as well. But let's give these kids a nice hand, another good class of goats.
Class 6, first place, Bailey Trujillo, Cottonwood 4-H. Second place, Swayze Fulmar, Cottonwood 4-H. Third place, McKenna Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Fourth place, Clansley Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth place, Luke Jerva, Country Clovers. Sixth place, Aiden Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Seventh place, Kobe Norman, Loving 4-H. Eighth place, Armando Herrera, Loving 4-H. Ninth place, JC Smith, Country Clovers. 10th place, Caden Bishop, Loving 4-H. And 11th place, Michaela Jefferson, Blue Jeans and Boots. Please bring all your Class 7 meat goats to the holding pen. Class 7 meat goats to the holding pen.
I think another nice division here, and again, don't know how they're always going to come back, but probably as consistent from one class winner to the other as far as kind as we've been able to put together here. And again, I like that. They're all three, heavy structure. They're all three good featured and good quality out here. You can nitpick on them again and rearrange some things. Probably two of them for me today just have a little more width and substance than of those two. One of them, no matter if they're standing or walking, he just grabs you a little better in terms of just his look, his presence, his style, his balance. That's the one out of Class 3. He's going to be our champion here in this division. Class 2, there will be reserved.
Your champion meat goat from Division 2 went to Bailey Trujillo from Class 3, and your reserve went to Braden Fuentes from Class 2. Congratulations. Class 8 meat goats, Division 3, please bring your goats to the holding pen.
Another solid class of goats here. Again, one that leads off just kind of looks like the winner, if you will. I like just his tone, his freshness. I like his look of quality out here. And again, even past the presentation, I still think there's some goat there in terms of width and substance. Now, with him, compared to maybe a couple other goats out here, I still like to see him just a little longer from about his last rib back, just lengthen him out of his hip. He gets just a little shorter and steeper there, maybe open him up at the top of his pins there. But boy, that's a smooth made, heavy bone, good looking one, particularly up front, that still has enough tone and muscle shape to him. This one here in second's a hard one for me because he's not even close to being there yet. But boy, I just see something in him. I love just the stoutness of his skull. I love the chest floor in this one. I like the hip in this one. And again, he's one of, when this young guy gets out and propped up and stuck, it just gives you an awesome look, quality out here. Just one that's in a little bit of a growth stage, if you will. I'd like to see that one with a few more, 10, 20 more pounds on him just to see what it'd do. We can open him up just that much more. But boy, he's got the right kind of lines and silhouette about him. Just want to see a touch more of him in terms of maturity. And got plenty of muscle, just maybe a touch more maturity out here. I like his squareness though, his chest and his rear skeleton just a touch better than this doe we run here in third. A smooth made one that grabs good behind her shoulder. She's pretty good up front. She wants to fight the system just a little and make it harder to look at, but I like to open her up from behind and watch her go with just a little more base width and squareness, but still a nice kind of individual. Long-sided one here. Again, she props this one up and gets all you can out of him. He handles good over his back. He handles good over his loin. When she disengages and you watch him go, he's a little flatter body. Maybe just want to open him up and make him a little fresher right there behind his shoulder. Meat wagon here in fifth. I mean, just a ton of just raw meat and power and chest floor and width. It maybe is assembled as pretty as what those ones ahead of him are. A little frailer in his bone, a little more shoulder to him. He likes to fight the system too just a little bit, but boy, his fundamentals are correct. He's got a lot of shape to him. That one that comes here next, when that one first came in early on, I thought, boy, neat goat. And I like his presence. I like his structure for the most part. The more you study him out here, he just runs out of muscle and width, starts to come in at his hock. Want to open him up quite a bit more there over his spine. Smooth made one here that comes next. Again, I think freshness is still within his favor there. Just runs out of hip and shape. When you get right in behind him, want to see him more expressive there over his back. The spot backed one here, I love the way he handles. I like his squareness in his forearm. Just wants to play out when you get right in behind him. I like to open him up in his pins and strengthen his hind leg, make him go just a little more correctly there. Another one here, at times you get the right kind of look. You want to move him up a few, and at times he's just maybe not quite enough of him. Still a little raw, a little flatter body. Wants to come in at his hop just a little bit, like to change him there. This doe here, she's pretty good in terms of just her rack shape. Just want to change her structurally a little bit, strengthen her up in her spine. The pair we end up closing with here, again, this is a good goat class as far as depth of quality, just good market goats. Maybe not the same kind of presence and look and extra shape we find in those goats ahead of them. But a good class here. Let's give them all a nice hand.
Class 7, first place went to Creed Hughes, Country Clovers. Second place, Aiden Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Third place, Kaylee Shockey, Cottonwood 4-H. Fourth place, Madeline Clark, Carlsbad FFA. Fifth place, Taylor Salter, Artesia FFA. Sixth place, Clancy Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh place, Colton Nikes, Cottonwood 4-H. Eighth place, Kelly Jerba, Country Clovers. Ninth place, JC Smith, Country Clovers. 10th place, Talon Pacheco, Cottonwood 4-H. 11th place, Dakota Goldston, Cottonwood 4-H. 12th place, Jaylee Joy, Cottonwood 4-H. Please bring all your Class 9 Division 3 meat goats to the holding pen. Class 9 Division 3 meat goats to the holding pen.
Please bring all of your Class 9 Division 3 meat goats to the show ring. Class 9 Division 3 meat goats to the holding ring.
Another good competitive class that we have here, and again, another one that's just pretty comfortable to like and value within this class of them. Just a good market goat. Again, structure and bone and stoutness and ruggedness is all there. That one's still very, very smooth, and the pieces all fit together and complement each other very, very well. I like just the balance and proportion that goat puts together there quite well. There'll be goats that are maybe wilder in a place or two off either end in terms of maybe front end or even sometimes muscle shape, but that's a thick, stout, dimensional, robust animal who still fits together in terms of balance and structure. And so made a nice one to lead off with in this class. The dark-headed one here, again, the more you study him, the more you like him. I know he's not as heavy bone, but boy, he's neat in his chest. He's good in his front. He's got some width and some substance to him. He pleases you when you get your hands over his loin there as well. Again, just maybe not as dynamic in terms of his bone and his foot. I like to maybe freshen him up on the backside of his shoulder ever so slightly, but still a good kind of a goat. Goat here in third, just good livestock. Again, bold-bodied, round-bodied, big back, lots of shape to him. He's a little shorter hip, maybe doesn't handle his structure quite as neatly as what maybe those two do, but still just from a meat animal standpoint, I like him quite a bit better in terms of his width and his shape and expression than the one we have here next. One we have here next, if you call him enough in terms of his muscle, structure, balance, smoothness, he does that really, really well. I love just the way he transitions. I like him on the move quite well. We get behind him, though, he wants to play out pretty good in terms of leg and dimension. Boy, we could open him up. He makes that class that much more challenging because just from a look standpoint and structure, he's a lot like your class winner, just not near as much of him. Long-sided one here that comes next, it's got some stretch and some length. He's pretty good in his chest floor. For me, he just plays out in his loin just a little much. You want to freshen him up and make him more dimensional and square there to the edges of his loin to move him up higher, but a neat kind of a goat. Goat that came there next, another one that's got some muscle. He's got some freshness to him. Just a little rounder off both ends for me. Like to lengthen him out there as well. Done a good job keeping him put together there, but still a nice kind of a goat. Just maybe just doesn't hit you quite as hard there from the side. Another smooth-made one that comes next that at times can handle with some tone. Get right in behind him. He just kind of plays out. Maybe doesn't have the same kind of width. Heavy structured, big bone one here that's got some big features. He's huge in terms of his hip. He's big in his forearm. Just a little flatter body, a little bow-legged, maybe doesn't fit everything together quite as nicely there as well. One I like from the side is the one that comes here next. She gets that one propped up, and boy, he runs uphill. He's got a neat look to him. Right here, though, is a problem with him. Got to open him up quite a bit more and give him more genuine width and stoutness to run within this class. A hard one for me was the one that came next because there's times I think he's got plenty of muscle in terms of his leg and his center body. I want to make him just a little bit better and stronger right behind his shoulder. I want to balance that goat up just a touch more, give him a little more bone. Another one that's got probably enough muscle for a market goat is this black-headed one here. Just got a little plainer as you got off of him. Maybe didn't hold himself together balance-wise as well. Red goat touches extremely well. We did a nice job feeding that one in terms of just freshness and tone. Just needed more muscle shape to run up with those ones ahead of him. But again, good class, nice one there to lead off.
Class 8, first place went to Braden Fuentes, Artesia FFA. Second place, Aubrey Putman, Country Clovers. Fourth place, Peyton Putman, Country Clovers. Fifth place, Madison Mancha from Artesia FFA. Sixth place, Dakota Goldston, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh place, Elizabeth Nalen, Artesia FFA. Eighth place, Zaylee Valverde, Cottonwood 4-H. Ninth place, Clancy Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. 10th place, Dakota Goldston, Cottonwood 4-H. 11th place, Kelly Jerva, Country Clovers. And 12th place, Jersey Smith, Country Clovers. Please bring Please bring all your Division III first and second place meat goats to the holding ring. Please bring your first and second place Division III meat goats to the holding ring.
we end up on a heck of a class here. Again, a lot of nice goats within this class. Maybe we're starting to get to that point where freshness really comes to be a problem for or an advantage for some, and just kind of how you keep yourself put together in terms of youthfulness. When this one walked in, I didn't think there was any doubt which one I was going to grab and start with. That's an athlete, just in terms of muscle shape, body dimension, and look. That one gets and goes, and again, as loose and comfortable as you want him to, but yet there's still some authority in the way he handles himself. There's still some shape to him. I love the density of his body. He's a good market goat first, but yet there's still a lot of show goat pieces to that one in terms of look and presence. Nice one here to lead off this class. What we have here in second, again, the longer we're out here and the more he props this one up, the more you start to like him. Again, just blends together pretty well. He measures and handles with some width when you get right over the top of him. Just ran into a really neat one here in this class. Doesn't have that same kind of lower shape to what that class winner has. Maybe not just that unique sculpted look there as well, but that's still a good goat that's got his basics and his fundamentals. The one that comes here next, again, big hip. Pretty fresh out here in terms of touch and tone. I like that one still in the way he comes together up front. When we travel this one, though, he wants to come apart right behind his shoulder, not keep himself quite as collected in his spine and top line. We could change that about him. He kind of runs a race with that one in second and gives him a run for it, because freshness, forearm shape, and product, I like that one quite a bit. This one here in fourth, probably as sound structured, correct built as any of them in here. He just passed his point, just not quite fresh enough. Boy, if he had a top in him and we could keep a top in him and keep him hydrated, boy, he'd make it that much more interesting as well, because I absolutely love this one on the move. I like his build. Just looked like he once was, and he's not still anymore. Just want to make him quite a bit fresher than what he is today. That one that come out here next, again, a nice goat. Heaviness bone is good. He touches good. Pretty good over his loin there as well. He's just a little narrow gauge when you get right in front of him. I like to lengthen him up there out of his hip as well. Real powerhouse that comes out here next, and he was a handful to show, as what he'd tell you, just didn't want to prop himself up. But boy, that is a wide, muscular animal that's got a lot of volume and product to him. He handles as fresh as you'd like him to as well. Just wish he was a little neater to look at off either end. He hitches just a touch plainer at times. Really muscular one that stands right next to him, that's got a ton of bone and foot and just ruggedness to him. Wants to kind of come in weirdly there at his hock and break behind his shoulder. Just gets a little piecey. Doesn't hold himself together quite as good in terms of balance, but that's a lot of goat there in terms of just meat and muscle. This one that comes next, again, freshness starts to get to be a problem for him. I don't mind him on the move. I think he's ample in terms of muscle. Biggest thing, though, I like to just give him more fresh shape when you're running down his spine. I like to see him a little stouter when you get right in behind him as well. This red-shouldered one, I love this one from about his mid-rib forward. He's wide-chested, he's big forearm, he runs uphill, he's got a good look. As you transition from his loin back, he just fades and comes to a point back there. I like to open him up and square him up quite a bit more and make him a little stouter. This one next is an interesting one because, again, forearm shape and length is good. His pin setting and width is very good. He comes in at his hock a little much for me. He dishes out in his back just a little much for me. I like to freshen that goat up quite a bit in terms of just the way he touches over his spine as well. But still one I think's got some quality, interesting pieces, and we can keep it back in him here. Smooth made one here that just gets overpowered. He's a little flatter bodied. A longer sided one here that's got some body shape, just needs more shape and dimension as you get him up top. Then that goat that ends up closing that class, again, good forearm shape, good bone, good foot in that one. Just want to square him up in his hock and give him just more width and punch when you get right in behind him. But outstanding class to end on there. Really neat goat here to leads off.
Class 9, first place, Aspen Hughes, Country Clovers. Second place, Braden Fuentes, Artesia FFA. Third place, Madeline Clark, Carlsbad FFA. Fourth place, Bailey Trujillo, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth place, Atlee Starnes, Cottonwood 4-H. Sixth place, Dakota Goldston, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh place, Jace Starnes, Artesia FFA. Eighth place, Aiden Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Ninth place, Kaylee Shockey, Cottonwood 4-H. 10th place, Aiden Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. 11th place, Talon Pacheco, Cottonwood 4-H. 12th place, Billy Nalen, Artesia FFA. And 13th place, Aubrey Putman, Country Clovers. Please bring all your Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3 champion and reserve goats to the holding pen. Division 1, 2, and 3 champion and reserve meat goats to the holding pen.
Again, we end on a strong division here for sure. That one that came out of that first class, again, smoothness, presentation, bone, really good with that one. You get him out here again, maybe wants to get a little shorter out of his hip and just not maybe as pieced together as ideally as what these other two are, but still a quality individual. He had a kind of a greener, skinnier one there on the other side of him. I think still got a lot of potential and growing to do. This red hawk one that came out at next class, again, his basics and fundamentals are right. Very, very smooth. The one that still handles pretty well in terms of just his top and his tone there as well. Maybe not as wild looking off either end, really as goats on either side of him, but again, his fundamentals are good. His body shape's good. Very, very practical type goat, but yet there's still a show goat element to him there as well. And then the one that won this last class, again, hard not to like that one, comes in, just got a neat presence and look to him, but yet you get on top of that one. He's as round-bodied as anything in here. He's as muscular as anything in here. The difference is he keeps it together with the right kind of look and athletic build. Class 3 is going to be our champion here in this division. Class 2 here will be reserve.
Your Division 3 champion went to Aspen Hughes from Class 9. Reserve went to Braden Fuentes from Class 8.
think just like the sheep show here, come back for the goat show this year, and it was just deeper and better all the way through. Really impressed with what we bring out here. Again, this lightweight one here, those two that came out of that division, if you told me we didn't have these other four in here and these were our graded reserve for the show, I wouldn't be too mad at you at all. I like both of those a great deal. I like what they stand for in terms of just their build, and they still got some muscle, but yet they're immature enough. I think they're going to continue to progress and do the right things. That one, just balance and proportion, is so good. This red shoulder one here, again, grabbed me pretty good in that division, and that was a tough and a deep division itself, but that one's ability to take a round body shape and boy, match that with a really neat up front and look, I think it's very impressive. Still one that's pretty good in terms of just his width and hip, and his athleticism is very nice. Like we talked about him, I like where his tail sets. Maybe you hook him up just a shade stronger right there over his loin ideally, but man, that's a good looking one that's just got a lot of presence and quality and good stuff about him. When he came out of that last class, the last division there, again, just an athlete in terms of just his shape and his body dimension, but yet still, I love his look, I love his presence and the way he brings things together. Just a lot of balance, a lot of symmetry with him. There were probably bigger bones like the one there behind him in terms of just leg feature and stoutness, but boy, everything still matches on that goat and comes together quite well. So really a nice set of them here. Again, a big round of applause to all you sheep and goat exhibitors today. I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. I guess I'll pick a couple and see you in the morning for the cattle show.
Your grand champion meat goat went to Aspen Hughes from Division 3, and your reserve champion meat goat went to Bailey Trujillo, Division 2. Congratulations.